What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel, and thank you all for tuning in. As always, really appreciate each and every one of you. For today's video, we got a post-race review from round 10 at AMA Supercross and the Super Motocross World Championship that went down in Birmingham last night. And man, we had a penalty cross national. All kinds of controversy there, but in regards to the racing, we had a banger East-West showdown with Deegan proving that he is by far the best 250 Supercross rider in 2026, but then he had it taken away from him in a game of inches. Davies gets the win, unreal battles with he, Sushi, and Hammaker, and then in the 450 class, we had a Hunter Lawrence runaway with Tomac having a disastrous heat race and having to go to the LCQ, a great explosive ride from Kickstart Kenny, and Cooper Webb continuing to drift off the back of the top two in the championship, and if it hasn't happened already, this was for sure the nail in the coffin. But before we get into all that stuff, got to give a huge thank you and a shout out to my channel sponsors, because they're the reason I'm able to get to all the races and all the places that I go to bring you guys all the content that I do. So please, y'all, do me a favor and go check them out. Huge thank you to ASV Inventions, home of the Unbreakable Lever, Serious Studio, who can take care of all your merch needs, and the DesignLabCo.com. They got some great designs in their lab at their co, and if you need graphics, look no further than there. I have links and discount codes in my video description, and if you guys buy from them, a small portion of the sale goes to me to help keep us going. So if you're supporting them, you are literally supporting me. And also, I'm doing the TV announcing for the GT Arena Cross Series on Fox Sports 1 and Fox Sports 2 with Daniel Blair. Here's the airing schedule. Would really appreciate it if you guys would tune in. Not only will entertainment be guaranteed in your contract, but it'll also help me keep my job. But thank you guys again for watching. Hope you enjoy today's video. Alright, usually we start these videos by getting into some thoughts about the track and then the results, but before we get into all that stuff, we got to talk a little bit about the penalty cross. What the hell was going on last night? It started with Evan Ferry's obnoxious aggressive riding penalty. I'd understand maybe a warning or something like that there, but I mean, that's where we're going to draw the line and start dishing out license penalty points, loss of actual points, and worst of all, a fine? Seriously? I'm appalled that a privateer is the guy that they're going to make the example out of here. I mean, half the privateers are going back to the pits to eat ramen out of a hubcap, and we're really going to fine him for trying to make the main? And the irony in all of this is that Pierce Brown, who Ferry took out, he had an incident with Derek Kelly earlier in that very heat race where they, wait for it, both went down. We've seen that kind of pass attempt so many times, and when it's for the last transfer spot, I've kind of always thought that just about anything goes, but I guess not now. Good luck keeping up with that precedent set there and penalizing every move like that from this point forward. I don't see that happening. And then there were all the penalties due to the air quote cutting in the split lane, and while I have yet to see footage of the 450 racers that got penalized for it, I did see the video of Deegan doing it, and this is just ridiculous. I feel like the spirit of that rule for the split sections is so that people don't cross over and go inside to inside and totally cheat. And Deegan didn't do that at all. He missed like one white marker and hit the split exactly how it was designed. And they're going to take his win away for that? The dude marched through the field and dominated, and now he just lost the race because of this. It's super lame in my opinion, and there's no way Star protested because both of their riders went 1-2, so I don't really know who was to gain from that other than Race Direction looking at it and assessing that penalty themselves. I always hate it when penalties and outside forces affect the racing like this, and this was not a good night for all this. It's a rough time to be a sanctioning body right now, but hang in there, boys. It gets worse before it gets better. Then we can get into some thoughts about the track. Luckily, we had some pretty good racing out of it, but I wasn't a huge fan of the track design. Just for being this late in the season, it seemed like a pretty basic layout with not a ton of separators. In the split lane, it could have been a lot worse for sure, but it's not like there was anything super exciting happening there either. The biggest factor in the racing was definitely the track conditions rather than the obstacles or anything like that. The track pulled the stank dog spec and got super baked, and riders were fighting for traction a lot of the night. Had to have been a tricky Ricky surface to figure out because it was hard and slicker than Diddy's bedroom floor with quite a few ruts added in there just to make it even harder. Like I always say, better them than me. They don't sell a good enough life insurance policy to get me out there. Now let's get into the results. Starting with the ultra stacked East-West Showdown National with the win, with a little bit of an asterisk, but I mean, he's got the win. I guess the check's going to cash and all that stuff. He's got 25 points, but Cole Davies on paper is going to get the win after getting second in the race, and I was a little bit underwhelmed with Davies actually in this one, especially coming after the Triple Crown where he just dominated, made like a broom and swept all three main events, but he was a little bit off in Birmingham. Hammaker was getting the best of him in qualifying, and in that main event, just quite a few mistakes. Didn't quite look like that usual Cole Davies flow that we see out of him, but still, on a night where it wasn't perfect for him to still get second, and then with that penalty to get a first, everything's shaping up exactly how he wants it to for a championship run. So great ride for the Kiwi. That's technically 2 for 2 for him, and then in the 2 spot again technically, but this dude proved he was the best. He won the race. I honestly should just be talking about him as the winner, even though he's technically not, but Hayden Deegan, unbelievable ride. Probably the best ride I think I've ever seen out of him in Supercross, especially on the 250. I've talked a lot about how last year, he got the win, but it wasn't super dominant, and it didn't look like quite the Hayden Deegan I was expecting. But this year, he's put all those pieces of the puzzle together. He looks like a total package, looks like he's ready for the 450 class, and he looks like a man amongst boys in this 250 class. So even with the East boys to deal with, nobody had anything for him. I mean, he started outside the top 10, I think, and just marched his way right through. Didn't even really look like he was stressing it, just kind of let the race come to him. But that was a hell of a ride. He definitely looks like he's ready to move up to the 450 class, like not even next year, maybe ASAP Rocky. Like if he wraps this thing up early, just toss him in the 450 class for the last few rounds. Y'all won't. That would be cool, but I don't see it happening. But then rounding out the podium and a late move on Sushi is Seth Hammaker. Great ride for him. I feel like he had lost the toe pretty bad early in the race. He was sitting back there in fifth. He had Kitchen to deal with, and then he caught up to that group of Shimoda, Deegan, and Davies. So a really good late race charge for Seth, and he still got himself right there in that championship fight. I think he's only 5 or 6 points down from Davies, so he's still in that window where he needs to be to challenge for this thing down to the end. And now it's kind of cool I get to say this about Seth Hammaker. He's got some experience. He's been there before. He went down to the wire last year, and I'm sure he learned a lot from that. So I still have a good feeling about Seth Hammaker fighting for this championship down to the wires. But man, Cole Davies is looking good. And then in the 4th spot, Joe Sushi Wasabi Shimoda. What could have been for this dude? I mean, shoot, now that I'm thinking about it, I just realized he should have been the winner. I mean, he had gotten himself into second with like 2 corners to go, and I'm not sure what's going on with Sushi's racecraft. I mean, he's a way better rider and racer than I've ever been, but I'm a little confused. I mean, I'm just sitting here from the couch, armchair quarterback, but I could not believe he made that pass and then went wide and then totally sold the bag in the next corner, went to the middle, let Davies go inside, and let Hammaker go right around him. So that was definitely a rough look for Joe in those last couple of corners, but still, the riding was amazing. I feel like he was the second best guy in that race besides Deegan. He just wasn't able to make the moves that he needed to make, and still, he's coming off a broken neck. We didn't even know he was going to race, and he's still right there in championship contention as well. So this is definitely shaping up to be a really good E-Series between Davies, Hammaker, and Shimoda. And then rounding out the top 5, Levi Kitchen. Very disappointing for me. I've had a lot of faith in Levi Kitchen's ability in Supercross to be able to go out and get wins when he puts himself in positions like he did tonight, or last night, excuse me, where he got the whole shot and got out front. But wasn't quite what I was expecting. He didn't really quite have that fire that I thought he could have with that clear track, and kind of got shuffled back a little bit and ended up at the back end of the top 5, which has got to be a bummer for him. He's got the speed. He's been qualifying fastest. He's got good lap times, but something in those main events, whether it be the start or just something, I don't really know, but something's just not quite coming together for Levi like I'm sure he was hoping for. But still, a top 5 on a night that wasn't your best night. I mean, it's still not bad. He's inching towards second in the West Series, but Deegs is gone. He took them all to Gapplebee's, and then into the second half of the top 10 here, a very quiet 6 for Dax Bennick. Never saw him on TV, didn't hear him talk about him or anything like that, but I think it was a come-from-behind ride. He had to have made some moves late because Anstey was well up there before, and Bennick ended up passing him and beating him, and I feel like it's been a very quiet, really good run for the season for Dax Bennick so far this year. He's been an opening round killer the last couple of years, but this year he's been good at every round. He's been consistent, and I really feel like he's gelling with that new Rockstar Husqvarna team, so I'm really glad to see Dax Bennick firing on all cylinders. And then 7th, Max Anstey, without the appendix, so he definitely wasn't weighed down out there, but a bit of a lackluster night from him. I mean, he did have his appendix out, and he was really sick and all that, so I'm not sure how great a health is in our contract right now, but just a nice little 7th right there. Nothing to write home about, but not a disaster either. And he's still up there in that fight for second in the West Points as well, so we got to stay tuned to a Max Anstey versus Levi Kitchen scrap. 8th place was Max Handbrake Voland, and this is insane. Yamaha was 7th through 15th in the 250 main. Absolutely bonkers. But a great ride for Maximus. The handbrake's barking, and another really cool heat race between he and Hunter Yoder, the 2 Club MX Yamaha West Coast boys just out there barking. And the main event results on paper might not be the most impressive for the Club MX Yamaha squad, but you guys remember, this is an East-West showdown. We had twice the competition, and Club MX Yamaha goes 8th with Voland, 9th with Schock, 11th with Simonson, and 12th with Yoder, only split by Thrasher in 10th, so really, really solid effort for the entire team. I mean, they don't really have like an A rider and a B rider or a number 1 and a number 2. I feel like all their riders are about to the point where they're getting to be equals, so it makes for some really good practice track motos for those guys for sure, but really great work out of the Club MX Yamaha boys. And then, like I talked about, Nate Thrasher in 10th. I don't really know what to say anymore. You never know. I mean, there could be a win coming next weekend, and I don't really think anybody would be too surprised, but definitely not the start of the season that Thrasher's been looking for, and especially with a lot of people talking about how he was flying at the test track in the offseason. It just hasn't quite translated to the races for whatever reason. And then another star Yamaha rider, Caden Dundee, in 13th. The results haven't quite come in the main events yet, but I'm telling you guys, they're coming at some point. This kid is unbelievable. I'm not sure if you guys watched him much in the LCQ, but not only did he handle Pierce Brown, but he looked sick doing it. Like, he was doing a badass stand up through the entire berm in the split section. Just some really cool technical stuff on the bike. So Dudney's a badass. Stay tuned to him. And then an 18th for Nick Romano. I feel like it's good for him to just make that East-West showdown the first race on the team, just adjusting and all that. I mean, they kind of threw him to the wolves, so just to get in that main event, get some good experience, get the laps in, I feel like it was good for Nick. And then a bummer for Ryder D at 19th. Those guys were rivals back in the day, actually, Nick Romano and Ryder D back in the amateur ranks. But bummer for Ryder D. Not sure exactly what happened in the main, but I did love how in qualifying he and Deegan were going at each other. That's the stuff we like to see. I love the entertainment value out of it. I didn't see any finger guns, but who knows? Maybe they were in a no-gun zone. I don't know if it was a blue state, red state. Who the hell knows? But then 20th place, RMZ just kicking it. Got to throw a shout-out to Crockett Myers for making the mains on an RMZ 250. And not just making the mains, but making an East-West showdown as a privateer on a Suzuki. Actually super sick. Great work, Crockett. And then bummer for 21 and 22, Pierce Brown and Cullen Park. Not sure what the injury is on Brown, but he laid on the track for a while and then walked off under his own power. So at least there was that. Then we got Cullen Park. Reports are they had his shoulder out during the main event, so that's never good. A lot of times it kind of depends on how long the shoulder was out and a lot of different factors. So hopefully they got that thing in there quick, and hopefully CP is good to keep on barking in the East Coast division because he's been having a great season. I feel like he's been having career best weekends by the weekend, and injuries can derail that, but hopefully it'll buff out and we can get him back soon. But those were the 250s. A lot more went down in the 250 class than the 450 class. But now we'll get into some thoughts on the 450 class. Another win for Hunta. Man, when Jet comes back, I'm going to have to start calling him Hunta's brother. Dominating ride for Hunter Lawrence. And like I said a little bit in my preview video earlier this week, with every round that passes, I feel a little bit more and more confident about Hunter Lawrence's chances for this championship. He's really not putting much of a foot wrong. I mean, he has made a couple of bonehead mistakes like that T-bone with Roxon. But maybe at this point he got those out of the way and it's just smooth sailing from here. I'm having a tough time finding a weak point out of Hunta. He's just been the full package. He's been crushing it, and he extends the lead by 5 more points over Tomac, so I believe that stretches it out to 9. And man, he's looking good for this thing. Who knew Honda didn't even need Jet? They got Hunta, but then a second place for Kenny Roxon, Kickstart Kenny. And I feel like that was one of the best second place rides of Ken Roxon's career because he was super explosive to go from wherever he started up into the 2 spot. And he started running Hunta down. I mean, Hunta's been on one lately. He's been tough to mess with. And Kenny put a good dent in that lead. He cut it down, but I feel like we were all kind of hard-pressed to be thinking that Ken Roxon was going to hunt down Hunter Lawrence late in the race. That's not necessarily Kenny's MO, but still an awesome ride for Ken Roxon to get the second and secure third place in the points over Cooper Webb after a lackluster night from him. And then rounding out the podium in the 450s, Eli Tomac, third place, out of the LCQ after a disastrous heat race. Tried to make a move on J. Coop, and J. Coop's leg got stuck in Tomac's rig, so that was pretty crazy. The air filter was about to come out when Tomac got up and started back riding. They were probably about to have to call Scott Meshy and get his air filter services, but definitely a wild deal for Tomac, but he ripped the LCQ. Made it happen on the far inside out of the start somehow in the main event, so that was good for him. And then I don't know what happened. He just didn't quite have it, and maybe he realized that and decided, you know what, we're just going to settle for a third, and we'll get him next time. So that could be a veteran move, or maybe we were just off on that night. I don't really know, but a third's a third. And then a quiet fourth for J. Coop after getting annihilated by Tomac in the heat race. But yeah, I think he just rode around by himself pretty much the whole main event, 4th place. So solid ride for J. Coop. That's kind of what J. Coop does. And then I believe this is the best ride of the season from Malcolm Stewart in 5th place. I think it's his first top 5 of the season. And it's been a long road for Malcolm after getting landed on by Justin Barcia in Anaheim 1. I mean, he got pretty banged up and he just kept on racing. And when you're racing every weekend, it's not like you're, exactly healing or anything like that. So props to Mookie for being a dog and props to him for putting it in the top 5. And then 6th place, this is a bummer, Cooper Webb. I think it was still probably going to be only a 4th place even without the crash, but then he had a crash, had to come from the back. He even had a nice 6-7 last lap battle with Jorge Prado, but yeah, I'd say that's the nail in the coffin for the championship. It wasn't looking good coming into this, and a 6th place really isn't making it look any better after this, so a bummer. I definitely didn't think I'd be saying this, that Cooper Webb just doesn't quite have it this season, especially on his familiar platform that he got the championship on last year, but I think that's just a testament to how damn good Hunter Lawrence and Eli Tomac and even Ken Roxon have been this year, so mad props to all those guys. But then finishing out this top 10 here, a 7th for Prado, another big crash in practice, and I need that guy to stop doing that because I really want to see what he's got in outdoors on the KTM, and if he hurts himself in Supercross before he gets there, then that's not going to happen, but still a really good rebound after a big crash and getting to 7th in the main. And then definitely a season best for Colt Nichols, 8th place on the Twisted Tea Suzuki. The T's were twisted. Maybe some familiarity with his boy Bogle out there helped him out. He got his riding coach out there in the main event with him, so that's some unparalleled guidance at the National. And then a 9th for Jordan Smith. That's his first top 10 as well, so really cool to see that. I mean, he had to jump in mid-season as a rookie in the 450 class, so being a rookie in the 450 class is already hard. Jumping in mid-season is already hard, so doing both of those things at the same time, no thanks. Doesn't sound like a good time. And then rounding out the top 10, we got Garrett Marchbanks. He actually finished 9th, but he caught a one-position penalty for air quote, cutting the split lane. Who knows what he did? Who knows if it was as horrible and as advantage gaining as Hayden Deegan's, but he caught the penalty. And then last on the 450 class, 18th place, Justin Bogle. I'm just kidding. We love Bogle, even though he barely has a voice, but 18th in the main event. Nothing necessarily to write home about, but at least he got in that main event, and he's filling in for Jason Anderson, and I'm just so stoked that Justin Bogle's getting another chance. He's such a rad dude. So fun to watch on the bike when he's firing. He's got sick style, and he didn't get to go out on his own terms at all. He's had a lot of injuries and stuff like that, so just to kind of ride off into the sunset on this one, very cool opportunity, and I love to see it. But as far as today's video goes, that's all I got for you guys. As always, please let me know in the comments what you thought of the video, if you liked it, if you disliked it, if you agree with my takes, if you disagree, if I'm just a cooked unit idiot, if you want to throw some hate my way, any of that kind of stuff that's in the contract. It won't bum me out. Pencil it right in there. But yeah, like I said, thank you guys for watching. Really appreciate it, and I'll catch you guys next time. Free of choice.